We do have a quorum. Let's please stand and pledge to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All individuals are asked to either silence or turn off cell phones, pages, or other electronic devices that may disrupt the meeting. Approval of the agenda. Approve the agenda as posted in accordance with the open meeting law, and here I'll place all agenda items on the table for discussion. What's the wish of the council?
Make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Got a motion by Alderman Hercock, second by Councilman Lodgren to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes. A copy of the minutes for the special work session meeting of July 18th, 2016, the regular meeting of July 18th, 2016, and the recess meeting of July 25th, 2016 are enclosed. What's the wish of the council?
I'll make a motion to approve the numerous agendas.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Councilman Hanson, second by Councilman Knopfler to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the bills. Approved checks 94597 through 94683 totaling $774,348.05. Mr. Gushek?
Okay, turn to page 6 or page 1. We'll go with page 6, it's easier to see. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Ten. 11. 12. For the public, the totals are on page 8. For us, it's page 13. Make a motion to approve the bills.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gushek, second by Mayor Zilka for the approval of the bills. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Awards, donation presentations, the donations, resolution 2016-42, accept second quarter donations. We got American Legion flags for the parks, Bernard's Beverage for 2463, beverage card at the golf course, Live Better, Live Longer, Granite Monument in Gamrod Park, Bob and Diane Reinitz, landscaping plants for the city, Sons of the American Legion, we got flags for the flag project, Stan Sweatland and Karen Alley for the playground equipment at the parks, and Westside Improvement Association, $5,000 for the softball field improvements. So wish of the council on.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gushek, second by Alderman Hercock for resolution 2016-42. Any further discussion?
I just have a question. John, do you know off the top of your head what the Burnix and the beverage card is at on the, against the new cart lease, or?
Yeah, I think that's for the lease of the beverage cart.
So are
So they're donating us
the lease or just
the value of
towards?
the lease.
Oh, okay.
And has the playground equipment been installed?
I don't think so.
No.
Where will it be going?
Gamma Park.
Cameron Park.
Or
Yep.
That's what he said. I think we just approved accepting it. Trying to go ahead and not want to go.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, resolution, call the roll, please.
William.
Yes.
Turcott.
Yes.
Liljegren.
Yes.
Zilka.
Yes.
Canfler.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Bushik.
Yes.
Knopfler.
Yes.
Carries.
Presentation 2015 Annual Police Department Report. Chief?
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council, and Mr. Mayor. Tonight I have my 2015 report for our operations of the police department. I will touch on the highlights. I put a lot of information in there, a lot of data, a lot of fun reading stuff. So I'm sure you've all read the whole report, but I'll touch on the highlights. So in 2015, we handled 8,059 calls for service compared to 7,161 calls for 2014. The overall crime rate in 2015 was 6,802 compared to 6,497 in 2014. So the crime rate stayed pretty consistent from 2014 to 2015. Part 1 and Part 2 crimes cleared by arrest in 2015 is unchanged, and it remains at 76%. So things have been pretty consistent that way. If you go to page, and I'll see if I can get these numbers right. On my report, it's page 18, but I think it's like 44 on the report. It's the initial complaint reports by year for City of Little Falls. If you look over that chart, it's the first bar chart in the report. You can kind of see that our
Page 44, guys.
I'll wait till you get there.
Okay, fine.
For comparison purpose, I've tried to track back as far as I can record the data. So as far back as 2003, you can see 2003 when the chart starts, calls are at that 5,400 mark. They dipped slightly for a few years, and about 2009 they started to increase, and we're at that 8,059 this year. So there's been a pretty steady increase for calls for service. The next chart, crime rate for the city, and we'll go back to 2003 again, when the crime rate was at 11,820, and we've seen a pretty steady decline to where we are, and it's been pretty consistent since 2009, and that's 6,000. It spiked a little bit in 2011 and 12, but it's been, the last 3 years, it's been pretty consistent at 6,000. The next chart, crime rate. Clearance rates are pretty high, and that's based on data that we transmit to the state. When we arrest someone or clear an incident through investigation, that information is coded on each case and it's transmitted to the state. And then I don't know what these numbers are until generally it's the first day of July when I get these reports, and then I see what our crime clearance rate is, and it looks pretty good. So we're really happy with that. For comparison purposes, I prepared the next page would be just cities that are somewhat comparable to us with size or location, and just so you can kind of compare those communities to Little Falls, and I highlighted Little Falls in the chart. After that, the 2015 calls for service, that's a breakdown by call. It's the numbers on the left are the coding, but it gives a little bit of a description, and those are every call for service that we've responded to throughout the year. So, are there any questions or anything in the report that tried to give you a pretty good look at what we're doing and who we are?
Mr. President, I just would have a comment that the clearance rate compared to other communities in the state is very high. Looks like it's in the top 5 or so. So congratulations on that and the consistency in that. I know you and your staff work hard at that. So great job.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Well, I'm just wondering with the data would indicate that you have an increase of complaints, but the crime rate is down.
And those are part 1 and part 2 crimes. If you break that down, part 1 and part 2 crimes are such crimes like robbery, homicide, those types of things are part 1 crimes. And then part 2 crimes are those less serious, they're still serious crimes, but less serious than the part 1 crimes. And those numbers are based on those specific crimes. So the state takes a look at all the information that we transmit down. So what we can say is our calls for service are up, our serious crime is down.
So you call for services, anything from medical to a car unlock, any of that kind of stuff?
Every time someone calls us for a service, that's documented and recorded, and then that data is transmitted, yes.
Looking at vehicle lockouts, looks like you do one a day.
We do a lot of them. We wear a lot of equipment for that. It's been a very popular service that we provide.
I've had to use it, and I was happy we had it.
3 of them are my son.
Well, with the high number of people that call into the police department for your services, it more or less shows that the people of this community are very trustworthy of you and appreciate your services and are they turn to you for the help that they know they're going to get. So
I can say we have a very strong relationship with the community, and in order to be successful, you have to. If you don't have the trust of the community, you're fighting a losing battle.
Some of these numbers don't look too accurate, like, I know you have more than 1 drug investigation and 1 or 4 drug violations.
It's how it's coded.
Okay.
If you go through them individually, I mean, if you get down farther, it says drugs or it says controlled substance. You have a manual that's about this thick, and you have to go through and pick the crime and break it down by each element of the crime, and that's how that information is transmitted back to the state.
Yeah, because you go like on page 38 of the report, you got drugs, small drug amount, drug possession, drug paraphernalia.
We're very active with the drugs and prescription drug crimes and those types of things, so.
Anyone else?
Just want to say thank you.
Well,
The motion to receive the report?
Yes.
Motion by Alderman Hurkok and second by Filtrin to receive the annual police report. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. On to the consent agenda. Economic Development Authority minutes, July 2016 received. Park Rec and Tree Board minutes, July of 2016 received. And resignation of Keith Silverman Planning Commission accept. Switch to the council on the consent.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Gushik, second by Councilman Hanson to approve the consent. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public hearings and lettings, letting Dasher Board, Hockey Rink, Athletic, Sports Systems, Limburg Lions Rec Complex.
I asked Public Works Director for a little more information on this, and it was an item that was included in the budget for this year. They did budget about $30,000 for the area for the dasher boards. Part of the issue with the dasher boards before is that they installed interior dasher boards for the exterior rink previously, so those are being replaced to exterior dasher boards. The Athletica Sports Systems had the lower bid at $22,800.40 over Decker Products out of Savage, which was at $23,500. He has been working with, talking also to the Lions possibly about helping with the installation of the dasher board. So
And Lindbergh Lions is putting in most of the money towards this.
No, this is a budgeted item from our capital.
What's the wish of the council?
I move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Boyan, second by Mayor Zilka. To approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Old business, clean water fund grant application, Minnesota Board of Soil and Water, rain gardens. Table from 7-5, approved. Do you have anything on that one, John?
Yeah, that was the same grant that we applied for unsuccessfully. We're in the springtime, so we're reapplying to do the rain garden grants again. So there is money in the stormwater fund to cover the matching costs for the rain gardens.
What's the wish of the council?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Authorize.
A motion by Mayor Zilka, second by Councilman Hanson, to approve authorization. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Ordinance number 89, 6 series, amend city chapter code 11, section 11.64, temporary family health care dwelling, introduce.
Yeah, this is again, as I spoke in the work session, this is the opt-out of the temporary family health care dwellings statute that the state just passed this year. It would go into effect on September 1st, at which time we would be eligible to be taking applications and having to enforce this statute. It is quite restrictive into the types of dwellings that are eligible and the activities that are eligible and who can be living in them. I think for our purposes, it'd be best for us to opt out at this time and re-look at it with fresher eyes or more scrutiny about how we can enforce it in the long term, especially considering no one has made any inquiries to this law taking effect in our city. It doesn't, by opting out now, does not preclude us from enforcing it later. It's just at this time we can choose to not take those applications and just live by the ordinances that we have in place.
Have a motion to introduce.
I'll make a motion to introduce.
It's been introduced by Councilman Hanson. Polling place emergency relocation, Morrison County Emergency Plan. John?
Again, the state has asked that we establish alternative locations for polls during election years in case of an emergency. I also, in coordination with the county, they're doing the same as well. So part of it is the county might be our backup for a polling place. Their facilities may be backup for us, and we're a backup for them. Depends on if something were to happen with one of these facilities on the day of the election. We can choose an alternative site. They just want to make sure that we all have those sites addressed and accounted for. So this time, I think the list is for City Hall Initiative Foundation, Lincoln School, and Morrison County Government Center as emergency polling places during city election.
What's the wish of the council?
Make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Got a motion by Alderman Hercog, second by Councilman Knopfler for approval. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Resolution 2016-43, authorize execution of joint powers agreement, State of Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, Police Department. Chief?
I have a resolution and two agreements that we currently have them in place at the police department so that we can transmit and receive data on criminal justice data communications network and court data. There are agreements that every agency has to have in place in order to transmit and receive that data. So I would ask that the council approve those agreements so that we can keep doing business.
Just renewing what we have already.
Correct.
What's the wish of the council?
Make motion to renew.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Bischek, second by Alderman Hurkak, to approve resolution 2016-43. Any discussion? Hearing none, resolution, call the roll, please.
Hurkak,
Yes?
Hildegren,
Yes.
Zilka,
Yes.
Ansler,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Bushik,
Yes.
Knappala,
Yes.
William,
Yes.
carries.
Anyone got any reports?
Mr. President, I would just like to do a quick report on July 23rd. Tram was here, along with about 4 inches of rain. First of all, I'd like to commend Chris Longberg for the great job she did, and Jen Lassar was setting it up, but Chris was running wild most of the day, trying to get things taken care of. They got flooded out of their Larson Boats location. They had Mary of Lords as a backup, and Maria Becker was very kind to work with. They housed almost everybody there that didn't have hotel rooms. They actually came up with the idea to pass the hat to help out the school district, and the Tram people donated $987, so that was their rent for the night, I guess. Steve Larson and Little Falls Schools and Andy's Charter Service helped with renting buses on short notice. John Carpenter from Shirley Mays volunteered his little bus and volunteered the entire day transporting people back and forth. Will and Tiffany Trelkeld had to tug their food station out of the mire and get it over to Mary Ward's. They had a real good downtown rush after 3 o'clock when the sun came out, and there was about 30 community volunteers that participated in helping with this, and to get 620 non-residents in to see our community, they were very pleased. I spoke at 7 o'clock that evening at Mary Lord's. But they were very pleased with the quick reaction of our community and all the volunteers, and to pull it off after such a dismal day. They had a great time, and they all said they'd like to come back and visit without 4 inches of rain. That's it.
Anyone else got anything on your announcements? Staff?
I just want to update my trip to the Coalition Greater Minnesota Cities Conference in Austin, Minnesota. I thought went really, really well. They had some excellent presentations talking about things that are impacting cities in Greater Minnesota happening at the state legislature. The coalition does a fantastic job for us in terms of addressing the needs that we have as a community, and all those other communities have in a similar fashion. So they're definitely actively looking out for our interests and protecting our interests. That said, there wasn't a lot of successful activity at the state legislature for the things that we need in our community, specifically local government aid and the bonding bill, which contains part of our PFA, which potential for our PFA application for water treatment plant improvements this fall. They are hopeful. The numbers that were thrown out and seem to be the consensus was there's about a 50-50 chance that at the end of August there's going to be a special session to address specifically the tax bill and the bonding bill. Since the tax bill was passed and then vetoed by the governor just over basically one word, there's a lot of sentiment that there's bipartisan agreement on that, and that the bonding bill was nearly completed. There was a lot of things in there that were agreed upon as highly needed in our state on both sides, but they just didn't get to it towards the end of the session. It got kind of hung up in transportation, so that didn't come forward. But there was a lot of agreement at the leadership level that it was going to pass. So I think both of those items you would see come into a special session. If a transportation bill, they weren't too confident that was going to make it into a special session if there is going to be one. So I think if those happen, it'll be very good for our communities. The tax bill did include a $20 million increase to the overall LGA, and early indications would have been about an additional $95,000 for the city of Little Falls in our state aid payments.
Anyone else? Hearing none, 7:55, we'll adjourn.